Our first tool to improving internal happiness that we will be covering is gratitude. So I'd like to give you with something that is called the happiness equation. And this is a widely accepted equation. So happiness is equal to reality minus our expectations. So put in other words, we are as happy as what happens to us minus what we expect to happen. So for example, if we are expecting something to not, we don't have very high expectations for some life event or something that we're going to do or see, and in reality, the actual event exceeds our expectations. This difference is how happy we are. So the greater that the reality exceeds our expectations, the happier we're going to be. And the vice versa is also true. So if we have really high expectations of something and reality doesn't meet our expectations, we have negative happiness, or we are disappointed by the amount that reality does not meet our expectations. So let me give you an example of this. I like to call this the sequel effect. So have you ever seen a movie that you absolutely loved, and then you found out that there was going to be a sequel that came out, and you were super excited to see that sequel and got your expectations up really high, and you went to go see the movie and it totally sucked? Well, this is an example of the happiness equation, because you had such high expectations because the first movie was so good and the reality did not meet those expectations, so you were disappointed or frustrated or unhappy. And the movie might have still been good, but since it didn't meet your expectations, your perception of it was disappointment. And now let me discuss another similar and relevant topic, which is called impact bias. So we naturally get used to the things that we have, and they don't seem as special to us. So an example of this is income, or how much money that we make. So do you remember making your very first paycheck? It might have been a high school job. I was a high school valet for my first paycheck. And you earned that first paycheck, and it might have been minimum wage, so you weren't earning a lot of money, but you were so excited to get that very first paycheck, even though it might not have been that much, because you now have money that you can spend on whatever you want to spend that on. But eventually the luster of that first paycheck wears off and you feel like you need to make more money. And this actually happens at all levels of income. No matter how much money we're making, we get used to making that much money and feel the need to have to make more. And so the luster of making that money wears off, and you eventually just become content and then ultimately unsatisfied with the same level of income or of what reality is happening to you. And the last example I will give for this is the lottery. So they did a study on people who won the lottery. So these are people who had one version of reality and their expectations of that version of reality, and then they win the lottery. So reality greatly exceeds their expectation, and they are extremely happy because they just made a bunch of money. But they actually did a study that showed that lottery winners are equally as happy 1 year after they won the lottery than before they even won the lottery. So they're super happy for a very short period of time, but over the long run, they're no happier after having won the lottery than if they hadn't even won it at all. And this is in a very good example of the impact bias, where people just get used to the things that they have. So how do we counteract these innate psychological downfalls that happen in our brain of the happiness equation having unrealistic expectations and impact bias of getting used to the things that we have? Well, the way to counteract this is with gratitude. And it's been proven to be one of the greatest tools and practices to increase happiness. So how do you practice gratitude? Well, it really is just as simple as it sounds. You just be grateful for the things that you have. So this practice is also called savoring. So how you do it is whenever you have a free moment or whenever you think about it, just stop everything that you're doing, be present in that moment, and be grateful for all the blessings in your life. And the things that you can be grateful for can be anything from something as small as a good cup of coffee in the morning to anything as large as a monumental life event or success that you just achieved recently. But try to incorporate gratitude as often as possible in your day, just being mindful of the blessings in your life. So I like to practice gratitude twice every single day with intention. So I do it once in my morning ritual where I do a gratitude meditation. And I also practice gratitude again every evening just before dinner. So right when I sit down for dinner, but before I start eating, I stop and say everything I'm grateful for that occurred to me within that day. And I really notice a positive effect on my overall outlook and appreciation for all the blessings in my life. And this really is the best way to counteract that impact bias, where you don't just get used to the things that you have and get bored by them and expect and want more, and you're really just grateful for all of the things that you have in your life in that current moment. So to help you with your gratitude practice, we have actually provided you with a gratitude meditation in the next video.